Deadly situation tonight at a Trail County home. Plus,
just saw McDonald's in Fargo this weekend starting at $17 an hour and a hiring bonus.
Despite chaotic economic times, why financial advisors think North Dakota will fare pretty well. And
a new bill which would charge a tax to anyone who calls the suicide hotline number. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
We're continuing to follow breaking news out of Trail County, which we first told you about during Valley News Live at 6.
We've now learned a man has died after a standoff that included the SWAT team, bomb squad, drone and K-9 teams, all joining BCI serving that search warrant at a home in rural Mayville.
Valley News Team's Aaron Walling has been there all evening. He joins us live now with the latest. Aaron, what do we know so far?
Stacy, Justin, we are south of Mayville here on Highway 18, and here's what we know. A 59-year-old man was pronounced dead at 6:38 p.m. tonight after a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, this comes after the man barricaded himself in a room of a shop building while law enforcement from multiple agencies were here to conduct a search warrant. Now, we do not know what the nature of that search warrant was, but we do know that negotiators were trying to talk to the individual. Now, a person who knows the family came by and said that knows the family that owns this property, says the family wants space, doesn't want to talk at this moment, and that they've been through a lot. Now, BCI and the Trail County Sheriff Department is still out here investigating this incident. Reporting south of Mayville, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Thanks, Aaron. You may have recognized the scene. This was a fairly well-known property owned by a bit of a car collector in that rural part of Mayville.
Again, we still have a lot to learn about what led to the man's death tonight. We'll keep you updated on air and online as we learn new information. Meanwhile, we're learning more about Monday night's deadly shooting in Wahpeton. Police now say 40-year-old Jeremiah Maidenwald was shot while in the driver's seat of a car and that there was a passenger in the vehicle with him at the time.
Police aren't naming that passenger, but they say he has been interviewed several times, he or she. Police say there were really two different crime scenes. Officers say they first responded to 11th Street North. That's between the high school and Stearns Arena. After canvassing the neighborhood, they discovered the incident really started a few blocks away at Loy Avenue and 11th Street. That's where they found several shell casings. Officials say they didn't have the manpower to block off that whole area, so they had two crime scenes. Police have not yet made any arrests or named any suspects officially. You're asked to call law enforcement if you have any information that might help.
Yeah, it's a story we're watching very closely. Let's get the latest on the forecast now from Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch?
Stacey, thanks so much. Looking outside, we have gray skies over the valley as a significant Colorado low moves through the central plains. We're on the northern fringes of it. We've had, well, some freezing drizzle and very slippery road conditions. Let's get you caught up on that. Now, there's a couple of areas of concern where you see in pink here. Those roads are completely covered with what they refer to or are referring to as heavy ice along that Highway 2 corridor in northwest portions of Minnesota. So please take it a little bit slow out there. Also, Interstate 94 to the east of Fargo, there's that completely covered area there, as well as in Barnes County leading into the western reaches of the Cass County area. So some slippery, partially and fully covered roads in our area. Temperatures, folks, are on the way up as we have a wind from the east, and it's kind of getting these mid-20s into the valley here. Over the last couple of hours, we've risen 3 degrees in Fargo. Fog setting up in central parts of North Dakota. So patchy fog. Here's the storm system just now punching into southern Minnesota, much of eastern South Dakota, including Sioux Falls, seeing bands of snow as this system is stretching all the way to the Gulf of Mexico where it's getting its moisture. Active tornado warning out there to the south. Now, as we take a look at your planner tonight, temperatures will be steady through the overnight hours. Our wind will be pretty quiet. We could see some areas of freezing fog and freezing drizzle once again. Snow from that system will impact a few of our counties. I'll have details on that in a couple of moments.
Thanks, Hutch.
With winter in full swing, many people are taking to lakes and ponds to make the most of the season, but those activities come with a warning. A tractor clearing away snow for a tournament near Stillwater went through the ice over the weekend, and experts say you should check the ice thickness every 20 to 40 feet, and you shouldn't go on it at all unless there's 4 inches of ice, 12 inches if you want to take a truck or trailer out.
Even in the same lake, it varies. 15 feet apart, you could have 10 inches of ice, and you go a little bit further, you got 2 foot of ice.
And if something that you own falls through the ice, experts say make a report with your local sheriff's office and have your insurance information ready.
Now to an update on a murder case from early December. The man accused of stabbing his mother to death in Moorhead is now back in Clay County. 25-year-old James Coley Jr. has been in the Richland County Jail for more than a month, fighting extradition on second-degree murder charges. Coley was arrested the next day in Wahpeton. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum worked together to approve the extradition, which again he was fighting. He was booked and went before a judge in Moorhead today. Bond set at $3 million without conditions.
One boy is fighting serious injuries after being rescued from a burning home. Emergency crews were called to a home in Wadena just before 1 this morning. Police arrived first, but they weren't able to get past the flames to get to the boy. They had to wait for the fire department. The boy was taken to a Wadena hospital and later to a hospital in the Twin Cities. No word on his condition or what started that blaze. The Brick House restaurant in Roseau was the target of a vandalism. According to their social media, the historic restaurant's dining room and kitchen are safe, but the vandal destroyed equipment like 6 rooftop furnaces as well as their walk-in coolers and freezers. Management says call police if you have any information. They expect repairs to take weeks, if not months. New tonight at 10, North Dakota lawmakers have introduced what many are calling a controversial bill. House Bill 2199 would change the definition of gender to mean an individual's determined sex at birth. It would require all pronouns used by organizations that receive state funding like schools to reflect that definition of gender, and it would fine anyone in violation $1,500. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted unanimously to give the bill a do not pass recommendation, but it does move on to the Senate floor.
North Dakota lawmakers are also trying to come up with a number of options to potentially reduce taxes, including a new proposal to reduce property taxes. He would do that by limiting how much local towns and cities have to contribute to school funding, increasing the state's support. The measure would also freeze property taxes for people age 65 and up at the most recent rate, can't rise again. The bill has been seen by many as the main challenge to Governor Burgum's income tax reduction bill, which would eliminate income tax for about 60% of North Dakotans. The National 988 Crisis Hotline went into effect last year to offer help to those suffering from mental or behavioral health issues. But some lawmakers say it's time to improve this service, and that takes money. Maya Fleck reports.
The nonprofit Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, FirstLink operates a location in Fargo where calls are answered. Right now it's privately funded, but Senate Bill 2149 would establish a tax to expand and improve services they're already providing.
It would establish an infrastructure for 988, and 988 is the telephone for suicide and mental health issues that were identified by the federal government but not funded. And the 988 bill would establish an infrastructure so that we could collect a tax.
Anyone who calls the line would be charged between 25 to 30 cents per month. The final surcharge is still under discussion.
It would allow the people, and FirstLink has been doing this as a private not-for-profit, it would stabilize funding for them and require some qualifications and standards for them to meet.
The bill would ensure people answering the phone calls would be paid livable wages and would be trained on necessary resources covering the state.
So it's a new tax system, so the tax department's involved. Obviously all of the telephone companies and the co-ops are involved because they'll have to collect the fee.
The Department of Human Services would also be involved.
Because this is all new, it will probably take us a year to implement because we have to collect the fees, establish the funds, do the distribution, hire the staff. So it's a sequential process.
The number of calls to North Dakota's 988 number has steadily been increasing in need, according to FirstLink Director Jennifer Illick.
Maya Fleck reporting. Still ahead tonight, economists believe a recession could happen this year. Regardless, we'll tell you why experts say North Dakota may fare well.
And our major winter storm moving out of Colorado has made its way into southernmost Minnesota now, and Sioux Falls as well. I'll have details on where this is heading and how it will impact your Thursday forecast right after this.